Turning to Pakistan, where the battle against the Taliban in the northwest part of the country continues to rage. The fighting in the Swat Valley has been intense. Tens of thousands have been displaced. Today, Pakistani military officials said that the battle there may be entering its final stages, but many see that as overly optimistic. The BBC's John Sweeney has been given unprecedented access to the Pakistani army's offensive in Swat. Now, a warning, his report contains some disturbing images.
Pakistan at war with a monster of its own creation, the Taliban. 21st century firepower against a medieval ideology. At stake, control of a country with a nuclear bomb. The army is fighting Pakistan's own version of the Taliban in the Swat Valley.
So this is how the Pakistani army are bringing the fight to the Taliban. Helicopter gunships. And these two are going off to bandit country right now.
And brutality like this is why the army is taking on the Taliban. The girl's family say she was flogged because she refused to be married off to a Taliban fighter. Here behind Taliban lines, our cameraman filmed the bodies of Pakistani army soldiers left unburied. One soldier beheaded. Another dead soldier's watch still ticking. We can't show you the full sequence. It's too horrific. But Pakistani TV does show graphic images of what the Taliban have done, and that's helped turn Pakistanis against the men in black turbans. Yet only 6 months ago, the government did a deal with the Taliban, effectively allowing them control of Swat.
I think it was total appeasement on the part of the government, because they just gave in to them. And I think the militants realized that the government had become so weak and it was no position to sort of oppose them.
The army say they are now winning the war and have killed or captured more than 1,000 Taliban in Swat. But I saw no dead Taliban, and these are the only prisoners we managed to film.
BUTTERFLY butterfly.
Acha. The fighting has displaced more than 2 million civilians in 1 month.
I want education.
She won't get any under the Taliban. 170 girls' schools have been destroyed in Swat. At an army base, deep in the valley, some of the men attend the soldiers' mosque for evening prayers. The next morning, the Taliban fire 9 rockets at the base. 1 soldier killed, a second critically injured, 75 meters from where we were sleeping. On top of the coffin, the injured man is kept alive as we race to the army hospital. He survived, but Pakistan is paying for its deal with the Taliban, and no one can say just how terrible the final bill in blood will be. John Sweeney, BBC News, Swat Valley.
With that report, we kick off a week of special coverage from Pakistan. Beginning Wednesday, Matt Fry will be reporting live from Islamabad, and our correspondents, Orla Gurin and Ian Pannell, will cover the battle against the Taliban from both sides of that Pakistan-Afghanistan border.
Welcome to what Barack Obama has described the most dangerous place on earth. We've come here for a series of special programs with reports both from Pakistan and neighboring Afghanistan, because the war against the Taliban and Al-Qaeda matters, not just to this region, but to the whole world. And a new BBC News Harris poll shows that, at least in America, there is profound worry at the moment that this war is not being won. When Americans were asked whether the Pakistani government will be able to defeat the Taliban and other extremists, only 1/5 are confident of that outcome, while the overwhelming majority, nearly 2/3 of all respondents, say that they don't believe the Pakistani government will be up to the challenge. Another huge concern is the safety and the security of Pakistan's nuclear arsenal, estimated to have grown to as many as 100 weapons. The government claims that the weapons are completely under its control and cannot fall into the hands of extremists. Americans don't buy that. Just over 1/4 of the people in our survey believe that Pakistan's nuclear arsenal is safe, while more than half say it is not. Despite the public sentiment, both US and Pakistani forces are taking the fight directly to the militants. It is reported that the leader of Pakistan's Taliban narrowly escaped a missile strike by an unmanned American drone yesterday. The attack on a funeral procession for victims of a previous drone strike killed as many as 80 people. While the US attacks from the air, Pakistan's military is mounting an offensive against the militants in remote mountains and valleys, and much of that action is unseen. Our Pakistan correspondent, Orla Guerin, was given rare access to the front line in Bajaur, part of the tribal belt near the Afghan border, where the Taliban have been putting up strong resistance in Pakistan's war.
Waging war on the Taliban. Pakistan says it's fighting for its very survival. The West says it's long overdue. This is the final push for Bajaur, a stronghold of the Taliban and allegedly Al-Qaeda. Every inch here has been hard fought and hard won. The troops are advancing, but slowly and carefully, at the rate of about 600 metres a day. 2 soldiers were killed in this operation, picked off by Taliban snipers who are thought to be still in position on the high ground. We moved forward to the front line. This strategic hillside was captured just a few hours before. It was a Taliban command post overlooking a key route to Afghanistan. We were told the militants had been driven closer to the border.
So as we are closing them, we are pushing them along this valley. Behind this mountain range is the Afghan border, and so we are going to close on them. Okay, let's do that.
With the Taliban still too close for comfort, our visit was cut short. Troops concerned for our safety. Hours later, the Taliban are targeted from the air. This ridge marks the borderline between Pakistan and Afghanistan. Remote, unforgiving terrain, but fertile ground for both Taliban and Al-Qaeda, according to London and Washington. Gordon Brown calls this the crucible of terror. What Pakistan does or fails to do here has implications far beyond this region. A Cobra attack helicopter pounds targets near the border. The military claims it was a direct hit, killing 9 Taliban. We can't enter Taliban territory, but trusted locals can. This is the Taliban commander in Bajaur, Maulvi Fakir, one of the army's most wanted. These pictures were filmed for us earlier today by a Pakistani cameraman. He had a message for Western leaders.
To President Obama and the British, I say if you are feeling threatened, it's due to your own acts and omissions. You are playing games in Muslim countries everywhere, in Iraq, Kashmir, Afghanistan and Pakistan.
Pakistan says it's fighting hard now and has been since 9/11.
We've had the highest amount of arrests done to any Al-Qaeda group has been done by Pakistan. We have lost the maximum amount of people on the ground. We have the greatest amount of boots on ground. There is simply no argument that we haven't done enough as far as this is concerned. There is just no question. There is no other country which compares to us.
Critics take a different view. They claim the military nurtured the Taliban in the past and is being selective now, arresting those who threaten Pakistan, not those who attack Afghanistan. But there is now a sense here that this is Pakistan's fight. The public are backing the military. The Taliban went too far, and many want them stopped. We met one father ready to speak out, in spite of Taliban death threats. This is the suicide video recorded by his son, Imad. Described as studious and innocent, before the Taliban sent him to Afghanistan. He was very dear to me, says Hamid Ullah Khan. He was my helping hand. These cruel people took him from me. I want them to be punished. Punishing the Taliban has produced a new landscape here. There are already about 2 million people displaced. The military is now moving into even tougher terrain, but the Taliban are good at comebacks. Orla Gearan, BBC News, Bajor.
There is a sense in which Pakistan itself sowed the seeds for the war that it is now having to fight. Remember, its governments once allied itself with the Taliban, and now its foot soldiers are having to pay a deadly price for that alliance of old.